going to be the same thing that we did to mark out the circle for this, except we're going to make an outer circle, just like we did for the diameter of the blue foam, and then we're going to take it a couple inches in and do it again with a smaller circle on the inside, and then you have a nice ring to work with. Alright, so with the remaining fun foam that I have for the shields that came from Michaels, that came in the big rolls, is not quite large enough to make another circle that is that diameter. So what I'm going to use is the smaller fun foam that I have left, and I'll piece it together and then mark it out. Alright, so what I'm going to do is put these together as tightly as I can. If they're a little bit off, it's not really going to matter all that much, because as I said, fun foam compresses and stretches. It's a very forgiving material to where it's not that big a deal. I'm going to take the pencil and the Sharpie the same way that I made a circle before. I could technically use the edge of the shield, but because of the fact that the edge of the shield is slightly jagged, it's going to give me a weird looking circle. It's not exactly going to be smooth, and it's going to make my job harder a little bit later. Alright, next what we're going to do is we're going to mark 2 inches on either side inwards on this piece of puzzle mat foam that I have, so that we can make a ring basically instead of just a circle. As you can see, I marked 2 inches down. And we're going to mark along those edges, just like so, in order to make a ring around the entire thing. Right now all I'm doing is making dots instead of the lines, because I have the lines as a good example as to where to go, and I also will literally just connect the dots afterwards, and that should be simple enough. So now that we got it cut out, the ring is going to look a little something like this. I'm going to have to kind of size up this part a little bit more because it didn't come out exactly the size like I wanted it to, but we can work on that a little bit later. So I'm going to use this as a template to make yet another ring. Alright, so next up we're going to go ahead and dap all of our pieces and dap the outside edges of the shield, both the top edge and the bottom edge. Be sure to get overlapped a little bit on these sides here so that you don't miss anything. Adding more dap to it is better than adding less dap to it. So when in doubt, just add a little bit more. Alright, now that we got the ring placed on, what we're going to do is go around the outside perimeter here and put another strip of fun foam all the way along the outside and Dremel down the excess just like we did with the top and bottom fun foam layers. Alright, so next up, while that is drying, to save a little bit of time, we're going to end up putting rivets all around the edges of the ring here, because in medieval days they had rivets in order to keep this put together. But the way that I do that is I have a little template here that has a small hole that I'll be using. I believe that normally they were smaller than this, but whenever I first made the loaner gear, I put on bigger rivets. So I'm going to end up doing the same so it doesn't look kind of out of place. The way that I'm going to do that is literally by taking some of the scrap fun foam that I have here. I'm going to put the template over it, draw out a little circle with a Sharpie, as you can see right here. Drew out a little circle, and I'm going to end up cutting it out. So I figured out that I want to make 16 around each side of the rim. So therefore I'm going to have 16 times 2. I'm going to put 16 on one side and then 16 on the other side. So I'll go ahead and mark those out and cut them out. Then apply the outer perimeter of the ring onto it. Then I'll Dremel it out. Alright, so what I've done is I've taken the strip and put it around the edge. The top I put edge to edge here, so it doesn't really need that much dremeling, but the back I just trimmed out with a pair of scissors, and I'll Dremel out the back there as soon as I can. But for now, what I'm going to do is place the rivets along the rim of the shield, and what I'll end up doing is basically I'll start with one rivet here, one rivet on the bottom, and then one rivet on the left and one rivet on the right, and that'll make a cross pattern. And then once I figure that out, I'll go ahead and make it in between with an X pattern. I'll do one there, I'll do one there, I'll do one there, and I'll do one there in between those rivets. And once I'm done with that, I'll do it every in-between area from then on out. And that way I don't have to measure it out as much. It's not going to be perfect, but it's not going to look bad either, that's for sure. What I'll end up doing is I'll go ahead and dab those rivets, put those on, and then I'll Dremel out the edge afterwards, so that I don't have a whole bunch of like bits of foam or dust of foam that might stay on here, getting in the way of my dab process. Alright, now you can see that I got the rivets put on here. Looks a lot nicer now. Rivets put on the back as well to match the front. Next thing I'm going to do is dremel out the edge that I had shown you before, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, as you can see now the edge is nice and smooth. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is we're going to find the center and we're going to draw planks of wood going across with a Sharpie. We're going to do it on the front and on the back. I want the planks to be 4 inches wide, and I'll have one of the planks going down the middle. I'm going to make it parallel, basically, to this part here. I'm not actually going to make a line on this portion of the shield on the little handle covers here, but I'm just marking it there as a point of reference as to where I need to put the next plank. So in the end, it looks a little something like this with the wood planks. I messed up in the middle here, so I re-corrected myself, so it looks something like that with the wood plank.